Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ANN or Code with Alpha Ngwenya. Today, we're going to be looking at a number of coding topics. If you have been following the video in the different YouTube channels that we've been doing, you realize that we've had a lot of long videos. So the idea here is to explain basic concept of class creation, how to create a class, how to create a method, and then how to call that method in another class, and then how to print out that object. Right. So as you can see on SRC on my source folder, I'm going to create a class, new class, and I'm just going to call this class person, right? I'll just call this class person. One thing that you have to note is that whenever you are creating your Java class, make sure that your class starts with a capital letter. This is the convention to indicate that it's a Java class, because in Java, capital letters actually basically mean a different character. For example, person with a big P and person with a small p, those are two different. Right. So now I've created my class, and you can see that this class is public. Why is it public? So that I can access this class from another class. Let me give you an example. I'm going to create another class and I'll call it the person runner class. That's the class where I'll be doing all the person runner class. That's the class where I'll be running. So in here, I'll just put the public static void main method, which is a method that Java gives us to basically assist us to be able to do things easily. Because in Java, for you to write code, you need a class, you need a method, and you write your code inside that. So Java has a public static void main method that makes that life easier for you, right? The shortcut, if you're using a Windows computer, is PSVR, like that, and then press that. This person class, I'm going to create what are known as the attributes of class. So attributes of class are the characteristics of a class. So what is a class generally? So a class is basically a blueprint, right? So like a human is a class, right? It's a blueprint of making a human. And we're going to have things that people share in common, like walking, sleeping, eating, running, writing, working, and all those things, right? Those are some things that are actions. So those become like methods, right? The person is walking, the person is running, and all that. But when I'm talking about attributes, I'm talking about characteristics of a person, right? Like their age, their name, and their gender, right? So for age, if I want to create an attribute of age, think about age is people always say that age is nothing but a number. So in this case, following the convention that I spoke about in my first initial video of how to initiate a variable, first thing that you do is you start with int age. This is basically us setting up the variable age and attribute of age. However, there's something important that you have to note about that we spoke about. These attributes, there's an element of encapsulation. That means we're basically, hiding some very private information, right? We don't want people to have access to this class to be able to see how old the person is, right? So we're going to utilize getters and setters in order to get those values from the class. And in order to do that, to follow one of the programming fundamentals, we're going to use encapsulation. And for encapsulation, you use the private keyword. What does this mean? This means that if I'm in any another class, okay, let me just create an object of this class. To create an object of a class, it's always the same. The name of the class you want to create, the name of the object, I'll call it person object, and is equals to new keyword like that. Right, you see, the ability for me to do this is because inside this class, Java gives us something called a default constructor. a constructor is just like nothing but another Java method, right? And this Java method is just like it kind of follows how any other method is, right? You have a method name, you have a parenthesis, and you show where the method starts and ends. So inside this program, Java gives us a default method, and that method is it's written something like this. You know, if you have something like this, person, and like that. So this, you look at this part only, this one, right? It's very similar to this part. Why? Because that's the constructor. We are using it to construct the object here. Now that after I constructed this object, I say object dot, right? I am not getting anything from my object. These are just methods that are coming by default that come with an object. Why? Because my variable is private, right? So that's why it's important to make these guys private. Int age. See, if now I have access to this, which is not okay, right? It's not safe. But that's why encapsulation says you create the variable private. So we say private int age, and this one is given to us by default, so we really don't have to create it. So private age, right? We say private string. Let's just give this guy a name. And then gender, right? So gender is a character, right? Like male, female, or whatever the gender is. Private character gender. Right. So if you look at this closely, if you see integer and character, they look orange and string is white. Why? Because these ones that are orange are considered as primitive data types. That means the data types that if you look at their storage, if you go in the computer where the edge is going to be stored, the value of edge is just going to be stored exactly this location. But strings are reference data types. So we're just making a reference to where that object is stored, not the actual store. So now, in order for us to be able to create this, in order for us to be able to get access to this, these variables that we're creating right now, what we need to do is to create getters and setters. So you can either do it the long way or the easy way. I'm gonna do it the easy way. I think if you are on Windows, it should be out insert. It will give you the ability to generate, and you say generate getters and setters, and you can say shift down for all of them, and you can say okay. Right now, this is generated our it has inserted, and if you wanna also generate a two-string method, and this two-string method is basically a method that helps us to print out this object, right? And this is it. So this is nothing but a method override because it's coming from the, I think it comes from the Spring util class. So what's happening here? This is basically saying person. I want you to return this. You write something like person, and then the age, the name, just to make whatever we're printing pretty. That's why. Okay, now when we get here, we have created the object. Now we have to then put the values of the object at that particular time, right? So now, remember, in the class that we're in, for all those who are going to ask how declare went, the other class is just out, and the left arrow you go to the left, out, right arrow you go to the right, just like that, so that you can quickly navigate between pages you're looking at. It's just like one trick I found that is very useful. Now, when we're at this point of time, what we can do now is in our class create values for that object that were created. And in order to do that, one of the elements that's going to help us is the setup. So setup basically does what the name says, set the value. Get is get the value. So before we get something, we have to first set it, right? So now I'll call the object that I created, and I will set name to my name. Call it alpha. Remember, it was, we know that this method takes in a string, right? Then I'll also say person dot set age. I'll put like, assuming I'll claim I'm 12 years old. I'll go and say person. Then I'll set gender. I'll set gender to a character which is M for male. Right. Now, if I want to print this out, all I have to do is to call that object that I created dot that toString method I have in it, I think, right? Or actually, if you want, I can go in here and call it something else too. Because string already has that. Go to, you can call it to print object. Print person. Okay, just call it print person. And then all I have to do is to remove override because it's no longer coming there. I just made mine and it's public, so I can use it here. Then I'll say print person. Right. Now I am just using the method I created myself. Just as an update to the toString method because I just don't want computer to be confused, right? And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this class. Right, so what do I expect? I expect my result to give me the object with the name. And the beauty of this, of object-oriented programming is that we can create as many objects as we want, to be fair. So right now, what you're seeing is this object, right? I can come in here and create another object of that same class. There you go, person, blah, 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 gender, all that, right? So I'm creating another object just called OB, right? OB for object, just say equals to new, the new keyword person. Close it up. Now I can go and do the same OB dot. I can say OB dot set gender to, I don't know what OB is, Z. Then I'll say OB dot set name to unknown. Maybe let's assume this is like an alien. We say OB dot, we wanna set age to 100, yes, right. And then we can just come in here, do the same. But in this case, who are we printing? We are just printing. In this case, who are we printing? We're just printing OB. In this case, we're just printing OB. Right. And when I run this, you see, we have 100, name unknown, gender is Z. So that's the beauty of that. Now there's another way we can do this. That avoids us, doing all the repetitive things like this and, create an object like this. There's another way we can do this. And the way is to use constructor. Why? Because the constructor makes our life way easier. Let me show you how, right? Underneath here, I'm going to edit constructor. What is a constructor? It's what helps us when we're constructing the object, right? So get constructor with all these values. So now, okay, now whenever you have your own constructor, you also have to then manually write the default constructor that you have, so that it solves situations where when we're creating an object. So that means we can create an object without any parameters, and we can also create an object with parameters. Right. That thread should be go just taking a little while, but yeah, this is just taking a little while, but this is going to go. So what does this mean? That means you can create a person class just like that, or you can create a person class just like this. So in this case, the issue we're having, it just shows us here that we didn't even use this person class, right? So now, when I'm coming here now, I'm going to create another object, person, then I say const person, then equal construct the person is equals to new. So now, this one, we have to provide exactly the way this is lining, the age, the name, and the gender, right? So the age, say this is 30, the name is alpha 2, and the gender is male, like that. So now, instead of creating an object and then use that object to set values, get values, and all that, and things around, you can then create a class and use the constructor to put all the things you want to put for your object. And then if I come here now, print this out, get the object, and basically, what's the name of our object? I called it const person. Const person dot. And if I run this, you are going to notice something. It's going to do exactly as the others. But look at how clean line 7 is, right? It's so simple. You basically are setting and getting your values at the same time. You see? Just exactly the same. Right. So this was just a quick overview on, creating a class, and this is called the module class, and creating a constructor using getters and setters for the constructor. And then now call that information from the class that you created. You can create an object of that class, set the value of that, and then so now when you have these values, then you can use them however you want, right? Like for example, you can have like an if statement over here. And we basically say if Bobby dot, when you get the name is equals to, case signal is equals to alpha, like that. If this is equals to alpha, then yeah, what you wanna do, we wanna just print out, that alpha is in this object, right? Wanna print out that alpha is in this object, and we wanna print out that alpha is in this object, right? So if I run this, it's going to, look at that object, and then it's going to print out alpha is in this object, right? Because alpha is alpha in OB2? Nope, it's not. So it's not gonna print anything. So you say else. We just say else, then we say alpha is not here. Alpha is not here. So Control Shift F10 is another shortcut for you to run a class that we are in. See, that's what it says here. Alpha is not here. Why? Because it looked into that object, looked at the name, got that, and saw this wasn't true, and then it printed this out. I hope this helps you out there as a beginner. Feel free to check out my other videos for more content on Java. Once again, don't forget to share and subscribe. Peace out.